Hello there, welcome to part 7 of my Clone Wars analysis series. In today's video we'll be examining Duel of the Droids, Season 1, Episode 7. The goal of this series is to unpack the Clone Wars animated show and look closely at its themes, characters, and politics. As always, there'll be spoilers as we're covering the entire episode and series. That said, let's jump into it. Picking up where the last episode, Downfall of the Droid, left off, Anakin is looking for R2-D2 for two reasons. The lesser reason is the fact that R2 has important data of Republic bases that could be dangerous if fallen into the wrong hands. Anakin's primary motivation is the fact that R2 is one of his best friends. This arc serves as a catalyst into narratively investigating Anakin's attachment to others. While R2 is just a droid, he's a valuable and reliable teammate in war and a friend beyond it. As Anakin's more serious attachments will allow him to be manipulated to the dark side, the emotional intensity he expresses for even a droid demonstrates how vulnerable his attachments make him. The quote for the episode is, "You hold on to your friends by keeping your heart a little softer than your head." The quote relates to the different attitudes between Anakin and Obi Wan when it comes to R2's significance. Obi Wan is thinking logically about R2's data and the strategic disadvantages he poses when in separatist hands. This logical way of thinking will allow R2 or anyone in his position to be left behind. Anakin is more emotional and thinks with his heart, as R2 is of personal significance to him and he will do anything to get the droid back. The Trandoshan scavenger who found R2 in the wreckage of the battle is going to bring R2 to General Grievous for a monetary reward. R2 is as resourceful as Anakin and is able to get a signal out to him. In our analysis of rookies, we discuss how clone commanders seem to take on the traits of the Jedi they serve. It's continually noted by other characters that Anakin is resourceful, and how Rex has that trait too. It's possible that certain droids could also take on the traits of those they serve. Either R2 and Anakin's resourcefulness complement each other at face value, or they get it from one another in a way that the clones seem to do from the Jedi they serve. R2 is taken aboard the separatist listening station by the scavenger. Grievous recognizes defiance as a trait of R2 and makes an appeal to him that they are all droids on board the station. This is interesting as Grievous is not technically a droid, he's a cyborg. He identifies as a droid though, and it's possible that the warrior he once was is starting to feel like a different past life. Similarly to how Anakin becomes Vader and becomes more machine than man, and how the two characters are metaphorically separate. Obi Wan is insistent that Anakin wait for reinforcements or destroy the listening station itself, and not rescue R2. Obi Wan is a more objective character and can think through things logically. The station itself plays an important role in the war, as it gives the separatists a strategic advantage over the Republic, and was responsible for the losses emphasized in the prior episode. Anakin is a more emotional character than Obi Wan. These differences in characterization will explore more throughout the season, such as in the Blue Shadow Virus arc. However, it is coming to the surface with this arc. Anakin's friendship with and personal attachment to R2-D2 is stronger than his worries over R2's strategic value to the Republic and their mission. While it isn't until later on, the Obi Wan undercover arc addresses this difference in attitude once again. Obi Wan faces death to go undercover, but doesn't disclose this information to Anakin, so the mission is more strategically sound. While it is logically correct, it isn't very moral or heartfelt for a friend to do to another friend, and exposes some tension between Anakin and Obi Wan. While Anakin is too emotional and focuses too much on what his heart thinks, the Jedi are too strict and too stoic for their own good. When the Trandoshan scavenger learns how valuable R2 truly is and wants more reward, Grievous stabs him in the back, which is a cowardly but malicious thing to do. So far, Grievous has been depicted to not have morals and do things such as attack a medical station full of wounded, and now stab people in the back. We learn in Lair of Grievous that he was once an honorable warrior, but his body and soul are now stripped away from him. And while he is part organic, he's now calculating and immoral like a machine, which speaks to his identity as a droid, which he shared with R2. Grievous mirrors Vader as someone part man and part machine, and will mirror Anakin's own fall from honorable warrior into malicious murderer. In fact, the same backstab that Grievous does here, Anakin does in Voyage of Temptation in Season 2. Anakin's ways influence Ahsoka, his Padawan, as during the Citadel arc, Ahsoka also stabs Sobek in the back, to which Tarkin tells Anakin that he taught her well. Ahsoka duels Grievous, and there are some parallels to other fights in Star Wars. When Grievous is about to slash down on a weakened Rex, Ahsoka leaps in to defend him, similarly to how Anakin does to save Obi Wan from Dooku in the Attack of the Clones duel. As Ahsoka doesn't have as much combat experience as Grievous and is in a disadvantage as she's smaller, she fights more defensively, and Grievous advances forward with every swing. It's similar to Obi Wan's duel with him on Utapu. Ahsoka gets a lot of development as she's the one fulfilling the main mission. While Anakin is looking for R2 to restore his own personal stakes by finding his friend, Ahsoka is following Obi-Wan's suggestions and the Republic's strategic orders of destroying the separatist listening station. She tells Rex and the other surviving clones to destroy it anyway while she engages Grievous. Ahsoka isn't as selfish as Anakin might be, but she isn't as by the book as Obi-Wan and most Jedi are either. She's committed to the Republic mission in a way Obi Wan and the Council would expect, but she can also be quote-unquote selfish or unconventional like Anakin, such as her piloting the Twilight towards Plo Koon in the Malevolence arc. Grievous tells Ahsoka, "Your friends won't help you, you are stuck with me." The idea expressed in this episode is that while friends and allies can help you, at the end of the day, self-reliance and resourcefulness is required for survival and success in any given situation. One might say Ahsoka may have some plot armor, but what the writers of the show are trying to demonstrate time and time again is Ahsoka's resourcefulness. We discuss how Anakin's resourcefulness could influence R2's character traits, and more likely influence Rex and the men who serve him, but what is most likely is that Anakin's traits would help define Ahsoka's character development, as he is the one directly teaching her. While she is no match for Grievous in combat, she was able to elude him just enough for the others to accomplish the mission of blowing up the station, which helps her get away from the general. The strongest example of her resourcefulness and survival skills is in Season 3 when she's being hunted by the Trandoshans and can't rely on anyone but herself. Grievous's quote about her not getting help from Anakin or Rex is applicable to many situations throughout the show's entirety, but no Jedi can be a one-person army at all times. There's also many instances in the show where without Anakin or Rex, she'd die. There is a balance to Ahsoka's growth between doing things herself or getting help from others, and it's good characterization because in life we will all have to have help from our friends, but we'll also have to do things ourselves. Seeing the Magna Guards with R2, Anakin says, "You have something that belongs to me." Anakin doesn't fully tap into the dark side here, but he definitely does use it a bit in my opinion. While he's a strong warrior regardless of the dark side, moments such as right after the death of his mother give him a rage that fuels his strength. In this instance, he effortlessly takes down numerous Magna Guards, which are strong and can pose a threat one-on-one, as seen in Revenge of the Sith. While R2 is his friend and they're glad to see each other after the fight is over, the statement that Anakin makes is a statement of possession. While R2 is indeed a droid and a possession in the Star Wars universe, R2 is a significant character and for Anakin, a friend as these episodes tell us. The possessive perception of this friendship makes the loss of it to be more impactful in a negative way. The same possessiveness surrounding Padme will inevitably lead Anakin to fall to the dark side because he can't fathom dealing with the loss of her. That is why Yoda tells Anakin to detach himself from everything he fears to lose, and this early situation with nearly losing R2 exposes some of the weaknesses in his character. In the Clone Wars, as a show itself, Ahsoka is the primary symbol of Anakin's attachment and is a foreshadowing to his attachment to Padme. Padme is his love interest and is subject to the strongest attachment, which makes the strongest fear and loss, which pulls Anakin down. Ahsoka is a student and friend, which is subject to attachment as well. The idea is that Yoda is aware of Anakin's struggle with attachment after Attack of the Clones, and in the Clone Wars movie, he used Anakin as a Padawan as a way of teaching Anakin with how to deal with attachment. In the Clone Wars movie, when Ahsoka first becomes Anakin's student, Yoda says, "Ready he is to teach an apprentice, but to let go of his pupil a greater challenge it will be." Every teacher must let go of their student in time, and that letting go of is what Ahsoka symbolizes as a character. Originally, I think Ahsoka was intended to die in the series by the writers, but as we know, she just leaves the Jedi Order. Letting go of a friend is extremely difficult for Anakin, and while Ahsoka is the primary subject of this on the show as a whole, this Duel of the Droids arc is a small case study of Anakin's friendship with R2-D2. It gives life to R2, a droid, and highlights the connection between these two iconic characters, an example of how Anakin's attachment can pull him away from the light because he simply can't let go. The show demonstrates his attachment to R2, Ahsoka, Padme, and Obi Wan, because in Star Wars, attachment is the biggest catalyst for evil. It is Luke's care for Leia in Return of the Jedi that makes him almost kill Vader out of anger, and he has to scale that back. Back to the episode, Ahsoka notes that R3 is a backstabber, and it cements the earlier idea of droids mirroring or sharing traits of their owners. R2 matches the resourcefulness of Anakin, and R3 is seen as a backstabber, which Grievous physically did to the Scavenger earlier in the episode. The climax of the episode is when, to get an upper hand over the droids surrounding them, Anakin orders Rex to detonate the explosives despite them still being on board the station. It manages to let Ahsoka escape Grievous, force Grievous to get away to survive, and makes the separatist station plummet into the gas giant it's within. R2 has to undo the closed doors and obstacles that R3 put into place, and the two droids duel on an outer platform, giving the episode its name. The duel ends in a cheerful way of R2 outdoing R3 with his resourcefulness, skills, and character, and it is worth noting that the R3 model is supposed to be a better machine. Obi Wan scolds Anakin for risking everything, the mission, his Padawan, his clones, all for R2. That goes to show how far Anakin would go for friendship and a droid, and makes it easy to believe that Anakin would risk the entire Jedi Order and galaxy in order to save his love in Padme.